Okay, what do I think the biggest problem in the quality industry is? Oh man, do I have to pick just one? I would say that the biggest problem is a lack of imagination. I think that we've created a system that, well, I've discussed before that I think that our quality programs are heavily biased towards people in manufacturing and statistics and engineering and IT industries. Okay? And I think that we struggle to imagine a world where our way of doing quality is not the only way of doing quality. Because we've spent so much time refining these systems. I mean, decades, millions, I'd venture to say even billions of man-hours have gone into refining these tools and these systems specifically for those contexts. And when a specific quality principle or tool is critical, when it is a cornerstone of your industry's ability to use quality, we create this tunnel vision where we start to associate the tool and its application with quality itself. And we forget that other industries won't use quality the same way. It's going to look different for them. When I worked in theater, I was using quality principles, but the way I used quality principles and the application of quality principles looked very different from they do on a factory floor, or when you're managing IT projects or doing mass application of software. It looked very, very different because we had to emphasize different tools for different situations, which we understand within our own industries. I mean, anyone in manufacturing understands that you use different tools for different jobs. We forget is that different industries are going to use completely different applications of quality and still be just as effective. I think a lot of that bias comes from this weird perception we have that Schuhart and Duran and Crosby and Deming, that they somehow invented quality. The quality gurus are the ones who came up with quality. And pardon my French, that's bullshit. They're the first ones who were able to codify quality in a manufacturing context. They were the first ones who said, here are the patterns I see in manufacturing, and here's what that explains about human behavior. But quality has existed for millennia because it's principles of human behavior. It's what happens when people and organizations crash into processes and systems. I can use quality principles to explain the difference between Richard II's rule of England and Henry V's rule of England. Watch me, I've written papers on it. It's not hard when you recognize the principles behind the applications. But we get stuck in this idea that because the language they used was geared towards manufacturing contexts, because the examples they gave, the scenarios they designed, the tools they developed were for those contexts, we get the idea that somehow these industries own quality, and now we somehow have to adapt it to these other industries. But the baker in Argentina, the textile manufacturer, people have been doing these things in these industries for millennia. They have been using quality principles. As long as processes have existed, quality has existed. So applying quality other places requires us to use some imagination, to realize that we don't own quality. Quality has always existed. And instead of trying to adapt quality for the healthcare industry, for the arts, for education, instead of trying to adapt it for those, what we need to do instead is recognize and respect the quality that is inherent in those industries. Recognize the millennia of bakers developing a process for just basically baking bread and feeding people. Recognize the quality principles that are manifest in what they've created and respect that. And instead of trying to adapt our quality tools to their industries, instead let's identify how quality principles have been in play in their industries, how they have manifested and been applied in that industry for millennia. And then let's work on finding a way, a language of universally translating that instead. We should be using quality as a universal translator, but not as something that we own and we have mastered, and we now somehow have to take it to other people and to other industries to somehow save them. And if they reject us, well then I guess that's their fault for not being open-minded enough. It's not that other industries aren't open-minded enough. It's that we aren't open-minded enough.